Everybody, I'm JayTheZoomster.
And I am DrJonesPHD62.
Oh.
5 hours of sleep. That's what it was today. I am DrJonesPHD62, and this is not my video.
Yeah, it's mine again. So last of this Arrow After Dark podcast, last episode we talked about season 6, episode 14, Collision Course. And our overall thoughts of that episode was that it was a pretty solid episode in the back half, but at the beginning it kind of faltered a bit. Would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Like, I thought the ending fight was pretty good, but I did think that the first half of the episode was kind of iffy when it came to my enjoyment. However, this episode we are going to be talking about episode 15, which is entitled Doppelganger. We talked about our predictions last episode, so now we're just going to talk about the episode because we've seen it now. So what did you think coming into this one?
Well, I was expecting a very Black Siren heavy episode, and I was not disappointed in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also expecting, well, a lot of Roy, and in that aspect I was disappointed.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. About how I felt about that. So you and I had some issues watching the episode, didn't we?
Yes.
We did. So apparently the CW wanted to air basketball instead of Arrow.
Yeah.
Which was a little disappointing, even for an episode that had been so hyped up like this one. And they just decided that they were going to air basketball. What was it, through like 8 to 10?
Yeah,
so
something like that.
That took up like both Supernatural and Arrow. So like both of
Yeah.
those shows were just not airing at the moment, which was frustrating.
Yeah. And that's March Madness, more like March driving us to madness.
Yeah. I don't know. I heard this happened when The Flash was airing, but I didn't have a problem with that episode. That episode was fine where I live. But then Arrow and Supernatural were both off.
Yeah, that's happened to me for the last few Arrow episodes.
Really?
Well, the last two. Last two.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so we did that, but we have seen the episode now, so we're good to talk about it. Going into this episode,
It'd be a real interesting podcast if we hadn't seen the episode.
Yeah. We could with
Today we're going to talk about an Arrow episode that we haven't seen.
talk. Going into the episode, I did expect a big Black Siren episode, and in that, like you said, in that regard, I wasn't disappointed. But the Roy stuff, I feel like, was very underplayed.
Yeah, definitely.
He
Especially
was
for this being the first part of a major Roy arc.
Yeah, second part looks like it's going to have to be the bigger part, which I thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought he was going to have a huge presence in this one, and then have a slightly smaller one in the next one. But nope, it looks like it's going to be smaller presence in this one and big presence in the next one.
At least I hope. I hope it's not just small presence in this one, small presence in the next one.
I'd honestly be very upset. Yeah, it would. So first I want to touch on something very interesting about this episode, because when I first watched it, I thought it was okay. Watched it again, I really liked it now, and I just found out that it has 2 new writers. Like, these writers haven't written anything for Arrow, I think.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and that should say something, because for the past couple episodes this season, I've been saying, yeah, they've been fine, but we really need to get some new writers in here. And then we get new writers, and they make a really, really solid episode.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Really solid.
So I think that this just goes to show that they do need to get some new writers into the show to kind of breathe more life into it.
Definitely.
Because we know that the writers that they have on board are good enough sometimes, and that they can do
competent.
They are competent. Guggenheim, despite all the jokes about him, he is a competent enough writer. He's delivered some pretty okay to solid episodes.
Yeah, I mean, he delivered some really good episodes of Legends, honestly.
Mm-hmm. So he's not a bad writer when it comes to crafting a story. I think he just prioritizes the wrong things. But these new writers are really interesting. They were, I think it's a couple. There's Christos Cage and Ruth Fletcher, who seem to
So
have,
how long do you think it'll be before they get Guggenheim?
before they what?
They get Guggenheim before they turn organic.
Oh. Ooh. I'm not sure. It's just, I don't know. I thought this was interesting. I also found out just now that they wrote for Daredevil, the TV show.
Oh, really? Really, really?
Yeah, okay. That's starting to make sense.
Crap.
Yeah.
What episodes did they write? If it says.
Let me see. For Daredevil, I'm clicking on the episodes list now so I can see which ones they wrote. Because this is very interesting now that I know that they wrote Daredevil.
Yeah, give me numbers for it, not names, because I can't remember the Daredevil names.
Okay, so it looks like they didn't write much of season 1. They wrote episode 9, and then
9.
yeah, of season 1.
So 9 of season 1. Let's see, what was that? That was... Let's see. Ah. This is an Arrow podcast, remember? Speak of the devil.
Yeah, it was that one, and I think that was a really good one. I really liked that. That episode was interesting. And it looks like they've just done some comic book stuff too. So I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, that was the episode where Matt and Kingpin first met in the art gallery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness!
And we'll talk about this more in depth later. But I really got some vibes like that whenever Oliver and Diaz started talking.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, it looks like he's done a ton of comic book stuff, which is really interesting.
Wow. So we're dealing with comic authors here?
Mm-hmm. These two have done some really good comic stuff.
Holy crap.
I hope they come back because, again, new writers who haven't written the show, and we get a really solid episode.
Yeah, that's... Now that we have comic writers on the show, maybe the Guggenheim effect can be countered.
Hopefully.
I mean, a lot of the jokes about Guggenheim aren't accurate, but some of them are.
Mm-hmm.
Such as the disregard for the source material.
Yeah. And this episode, I felt like, had some really great moments, like, harkening back to source material. We got a trick arrow. A couple of them, actually. We got some good fight scenes. It was really good. The fight scenes aren't really related to the writers, but still, they had to write them in there.
Yeah.
They had to decide that they were going to be in the episode. I just thought that was really interesting, and I wanted to point out the new writers. Because I noticed that they didn't...
know that.
Yeah, I noticed they hadn't written anything for Arrow or any of the CW shows before, but they had written for Daredevil and some other TV shows.
That's an interesting observation. I never knew that.
Mm-hmm. I was like, that's really what we needed, because sometimes you just need new writers to breathe new life into a series.
Agreed.
And looks like we might be getting that soon. Other than that, the only thing I would want to touch on is ratings, if I can find an easy website to view the ratings for, because I'm wondering if pushing it back hurt the ratings because of basketball they pushed it back.
Oh yeah.
So
from what I understand, there was a slight ratings bump.
There could be. Okay, Supernatural was pushed back and it didn't have its ratings hurt too bad.
Yeah, I think this was just because of the return.
Okay, Arrow actually got a pretty good ratings bump. That's good. Arrow is sitting at 1.35 million viewers for this episode.
I mean, that's not exactly good considering it used to average around, what?
3 million? 2 to 3 million? Yeah, the show should be at 2 million viewers now.
Absolutely, even more than that, 3 million.
Mm-hmm. Flash has even fallen down, but it's still higher. It's still the highest show on the network, I think.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's right there up there with Riverdale. With the 2 million arc. Yeah, this isn't good. 1.35 isn't necessarily good, but compared to last week's, which was like 1.11, I think, it was like a series low.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, it's been It's been renewed, so
Yeah. So we're still gonna get a season 7, which is really good. I really want one.
yeah, but probably not a season 8.
Probably not, and mm, it is what it is, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, no season 8, that would be okay.
I would have been fine if the show ended with season 5, but season
Yeah.
6 we got Richard Dragon, so kind of balances that out.
Yes. So, would you like to dig into it?
We can dig into the episode now after we got that overly long preface open. We'll shorten it in future episodes. I just wanted to point out the new writers.
Yeah, I did not know that, so that's really helpful to know.
So the episode starts with Thea giving like good news about the case, right? Which I thought was
Yes.
super interesting. That they kind of brought the case back because it hasn't been a big deal for like 7 episodes. It's been gone. Yeah, the last time I was really there was episode 9, and we're on like episode 15 now. And the last time we even saw the DA character or whatever was episode 7, and now it's episode 15. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it definitely has.
And I was just wondering what you thought about bringing the trial back. Because I know people
Well,
haven't
bringing
been
the
too
trial
happy.
back- Bringing the trial back might mean more opportunities for some really bad lawyering,
Yeah.
but it also might mean an end to that storyline. So
That's how I feel about it. I think I said in the Arrow chat the other last night that I'm not a fan of these storylines, but I'd rather them be tied up than just dropped altogether. And it looks like
Agreed.
they're tying them up instead of dropping them, which is great.
oh yeah, wholeheartedly agree.
Because drop storylines just kind of hurts the show, but wrapping up a storyline, even if it's wrapped up poorly, it's still not dropped and is ultimately better. So I thought that was interesting that they're bringing back the trial. I'm interested to see what happens with it, but I'm not necessarily on board with it as a story idea.
Yeah, same here. Plus, it also means that we might get an appearance from the illustrious Agent Watson,
Oh, best Arrow character.
best Arrowverse character.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
God, I hate her.
But with every bit of good news, there also comes bad news, right?
Yeah, and here comes Quentin talking about Laurel Lance portraying Earth 1 Laurel. So, we knew this was happening from the end of last episode. I'm not a fan of this after seeing this episode.
Why is that?
So, okay, I like what they're doing with Black Siren, but I'm not entirely on board with the character of this episode. I loved her because she was snarky and everything, but at the same time, I think they didn't approach the Laurel Lance returning from the dead area, or the kind of storyline that it gives. They didn't approach it well enough. I think they show the scene where she does the interview, and then that's all we got. I feel like there would have been more.
They mentioned it in passing.
And that's good. I just thought that it would be a bigger part of the episode.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was a sizable portion, but rather being about Black Siren taking Laurel Lance's name, it was just more about Black Siren, which isn't bad, but I don't know. Just thought it was really interesting that they went that route, but didn't really pay off. I hope it comes back into play later, because now you can't really go back, because Laurel Lance was standing there saying that she'd escaped death. So
Yeah.
was
What
really
impressed me about that was how much of a chameleon Katie Cassidy was.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
And I don't know if chameleon is necessarily the right word, but just the way she flips the switch between the sort of troll Laurel, the snarky, sassy Laurel, and the vulnerable Earth One Laurel.
Yeah.
It's just like the flip of a switch.
It really shows how talented of an actor she is.
Yeah, definitely.
I really loved the scene where they were talking in the holding area, and
Oh my
she just
goodness.
paced back and forth saying what was going to happen. I thought that was fantastic.
Absolutely, that was one of my favorite Laurel scenes this whole season.
It's great.
Because when she was addressing Thea, she was like, "There's a Thea Queen on my Earth, you know. But the difference is, she's not as whiny, pathetic, or naive as you."
Yeah, I that was great. I just she's such a good actress, and I feel like they squandered her too much in the beginning of this season. So it's nice.
I'm so glad she's getting her test this episode.
I think everyone is, and we'll talk about that when we get to Anatoly. But this episode really turned me around on a lot of characters. Laurel's one of them.
Yeah.
Because I started being like, yeah, she's cool, and it's cool we have Katie Cassidy back. But this episode made me really like Black Siren as a character.
Oh, definitely.
So then she like threatens to blackmail Oliver, saying, "Oh, I'll tell everyone who you are." Normal stuff. I hope that honestly happens at the end of the season. I think that'd be a really interesting change of pace.
It would, but at the same time, that would undermine the Siren redemption arc they've got going on.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think we know a few people who would pitch a fit. Blue.
A lot of people would pitch a fit, not just him.
Yeah.
You got a whole fan base who'd completely explode.
Yeah, definitely.
So then they talk to the DA, right? No, Laura goes to the hospital.
Yeah, then they talk to the DA.
Then they talk to the DA. So this all the episode at the beginning just seems to be all about Laurel, which I'm a big fan of. I thought that was really well handled. But now we're getting back to the case, and I wasn't a fan of this scene. I felt like, I don't know, it wasn't bad, but at the same time I was just kind of apathetic to it, I guess. I just didn't really care.
Yeah, I didn't care until they dropped the Roy bombshell.
Yeah, when they said...
Right. The DA has a new witness, and his name is Roy Harper.
When they said Roy Harper, I saw it coming, but I was still like shocked at the same time, like how it happened. I was really interested in what they were gonna do now. I don't know. It was just really interesting to me. And then seeing how that scene played out, and like the next scene where they talk about everything, I just thought it was great. Yeah. Again, not a fan of the DA. The character, he's working with Diaz, so it's just kind of generic bad guy. I want to bury Oliver.
Yeah, somebody pointed out to me on Reddit that every time you look into his eyes, every time you look into the DA's eyes, you see like this sort of... He looks like a psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he's got murder in his mind.
The DA is the villain again. 2 seasons in a row. Let's go.
So we have Richard Dragon and Richard Dinosaur.
It's my favorite, Richard Dinosaur. That's so great. I don't know what's so funny about that.
Maybe it's the unpredictability of it.
Oh yeah. So where were we?
The
hospital scene.
Mm-hmm. Sideline. Yeah, that's right.
So this is the scene where they were talking in the hospital, right? Or is this where she gets? Yeah. So Lance and Dinah.
In the hospital. Yeah, Lance and Dinah talk.
So I hate Dinah.
I didn't hate her this episode.
That's fair. She was better. They took steps to rectify the problems, the issues. And I think that was the new writers came in. They were like, dude, we need to take a step back. Fix what you did. They even fixed Curtis because I went from hating him at the end of the episode to being like on board with his character again in the one scene he had.
And it's so weird that he only had one scene.
Yeah. Dinah also played a small part in the episode, so it wasn't that bad.
It's so good that they only had a few scenes, because if they had more, they would have been ruined.
Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't make sense to not have them in the show anymore. Yeah. So I'm glad that...
The thing about all this show's problems, they all work well in small doses.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Like, Felicity's okay in small doses.
She's been okay these past couple episodes because she hasn't been in the forefront.
Yeah. The second we get a 604, it gets into nightmare territory.
Yeah. She's had some really awesome moments in the back half of the season. And that's just because she doesn't do much. It's the second they put her at the forefront and make her have her like own problem or threat, and there's nothing wrong with giving a side character threat, but it's just they don't execute it well at all.
Yeah, I agree. You're absolutely right. The problem with Arrow is execution.
They have a ton of great ideas. Caden James, in theory, could have been really interesting.
Yeah. The thing about Arrow, it's like a firing squad armed with water guns. The idea is they have to execute more.
It's pretty great. That's a fantastic analogy.
Thank you.
But that is true. They have a lot of potential. They just don't execute it there very well at all. Season 4 had good potential. Horrible execution.
Yeah, it had, like, bringing in a new kind of villain for Oliver to fight, focusing on the human element of him, like what makes him happy in life,
Mm-hmm.
instead like bringing him out of his darkness and into some light.
Even the magic element, I feel like,
Yeah.
was great potentially, but they squandered that. So
Yes, they just made it telekinesis.
yeah, they could have done some really cool things with Green Arrow fighting magic, but they
Yeah,
didn't.
absolutely. Can anybody say magic arrow? Just imagine how cool that would have been.
Yes, there's so much they could have done instead. Damien Dark just has choky abilities and can throw people. Moving on. Diana was cool in this episode. She was fine.
Yes. Oh,
I don't-
and speaking of that scene, Lance and Dinah. Did you buy that they were acting buddy buddy again?
Not really. Eh.
Because just last episode, she was trying to kill Lance.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was just kind of weird that they kind of just ignored that episode happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
Except for Renee.
Yeah, except for Renee, which I'm fine with at this point. If I don't see him again, I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah. That would change something else.
They're already changing something that he wasn't in the episode.
Yep.
But I thought the scene was weird with Lance and Dinah talking, because I think I'd be pissed at Dinah if she tried to kill me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be happy with her. And then Laurel being taken by the cop was cool. Because the second that you hear that she was taken by a cop, you know it's one of Diaz's cops. And you know that it's not a good guy. So, next the team's going after Roy, right?
Yeah.
This scene was awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
We got the firework arrow.
The best arrow on the show since Parachute Arrow from 501.
Or boxing glove arrow.
Or Boxing Glove Arrow, yeah.
Or mini boxing glove arrow.
So many great... Trick arrows need to become a bigger element of the show.
I agree.
I understand they're trying for this, like, kind of realistic aspect, but trick arrows are fun. I want more.
Yeah, I mean, if the Avengers can do it, so can they.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So what do you think of this scene where they go in and Thea meets up with Roy, and then they kind of get out, but then it's a red herring, and nope, Roy's stuck.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to say Roy is one fat boy.
I was thinking that too.
Like, I was thinking, man, is this Colton?
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was skinnier. And that's not to, I mean, Roy really let himself go. Nothing against Colton whatsoever, but good heavens.
Yeah, Roy was not looking in good shape this episode.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same guy who would flip around, but I don't think he could lift himself off the ground.
It kind of makes sense narratively, though, because he's kind of been out of the, like, the world for a bit. So he's just been kind of living, so I bought it. But I was still a little taken back by it.
Yeah, me too. One question I noticed when on Reddit and a bunch of other places is when Oliver took Thea out of the room through the window.
Mm-hmm.
People were asking why didn't he do that to Roy?
Yeah.
But like, that's kind of an obvious answer, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Roy's crazy injured.
Yeah, that would have killed him.
Yeah, like it's a wonder that Thea wasn't hurt.
Yeah, exactly. It would have really, really hurt Roy even more, or possibly killed him. Probably killed him.
Probably would have punctured a lung and he would have bled out inside himself.
Mm-hmm. He was just... I 100% bought that scene.
Yeah, me too.
It made sense why he didn't want to do it. I've seen people pulling up the fact that this is the second time something like this has happened where Oliver says that anybody else who anyone who someone loves can wait, but when it's someone he loves, he can just go in blind. But I don't know. I thought it was well done. Oliver's just a smart guy. He knows his limits.
Yeah, and he knows his limits, but he doesn't necessarily know Thea's.
Mm-hmm.
And even if he does have a good idea of them, he doesn't want to risk Thea's life.
Exactly. I thought it was a great scene. I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked the cops coming in and everything.
Yeah, I like it too. That one cop was absolutely sadistic.
Yes, he was. Jeez.
And also, the cops know everything somehow. Like, they know all about how Roy faked his death, how the identity of the Arrow, the identity of the Green Arrow. They know everything.
Which I find interesting. Because, sure, you could say, oh, Diaz told them. But where the hell Diaz get that information?
That's a good question.
Because we know he knows Oliver's the Green Arrow, but where did he get that?
Maybe he's just a good old-fashioned detective.
I don't know. I think we're going to get information in 619 when it's a dragon-centric one.
Maybe we'll just get plot force.
Plot force, you know, as long as Dragon's cool, I don't care.
Yeah, same here.
So, yeah, Roy gets punched, and they're like, you put down Roy, get some air.
Yeah, because the cop put the accent on air wrong. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed that.
Like, Roy pulls open the window and says, "I need some air." The cop says, "You're gonna need air."
Yeah, I was like, what?
Why did you put the accent on gonna? You're gonna need air.
Mm-hmm. That was so weird.
Compared to, you're gonna need air.
It was... The more I think about that, the funnier it is.
It really is funny. That guy was a bad actor.
He really was. He sold the sadistic thing well, but then every other point was just like, okay.
The question is, was that the same guy? I couldn't tell.
I'm not... It might be. I don't know. It was just a random cop who walked in. I assumed it was the same guy.
It looked like the random cop was blonde, while the other guy had black hair.
That is... That's true.
But maybe I'm misremembering.
I don't know, because then he did go out to get Big Belly Burger.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I don't know.
So Big Belly Burger is now Big Blonde Burger. Maybe Roy had a bit too much Big Belly Burger.
For real. Oh, I like that scene all in all. That part was pretty good. I think it was a good introduction to Roy. I just wish they could have gotten him out, but I understand why.
Same here. It was a good scene.
It
was a good reintroduction to Roy.
Yeah, it was. It was. It showed us what he'd been doing. Moving on, we get Laurel and Anatoly in this scene. I love this scene. I thought it was really good.
It was just really well written, except for one line that kind of stuck out to me. But it was.
What line was that?
Cheesy. It was cheesy, but it was also the good kind of cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
Laurel asks Anatoly if all of Caden's atrocities bother him.
Yeah.
And Anatoly says, "I'm not sentimental. I'm Russian."
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that one I agree. I thought that one was just kind of funny though.
Yeah, it was funny, but it was the cheesy kind of funny.
Yeah, this episode also turned me around on Anatoly, because I don't know if I've like talked about this, but when Anatoly was like first coming into season 6, I was not on board. I thought they just made his character annoying, and then throughout the rest of the season he had like nothing to do.
What makes you think that?
I don't know, the first episode he was in, I was just kind of like, that's just, I don't know. I just didn't like that they had ruined his character. In my eyes, they ruined him. And then he showed up in episode 9, and from 9 to 13, he did nothing. And they just completely didn't use his potential. But this episode really showed me that maybe Anatoly is good as a villain. Because I just didn't like him in episode 2. But this one was pretty good.
I liked him in episode 2, but it's fair to say that he was kind of underused.
Yeah, and...
I thought that bit in episode 2 where he shot that guy from behind that Oliver had shot with an arrow, that was really cold-hearted and really villainous.
Yeah, I agree. I think he had some good scenes in episode 2, but it was just kind of underused for the rest of the season until now.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I think a lot of characters were in Caden's Cabal. They just, they executed that poorly. Yeah. Moving on. That was a cool scene. I think that was interesting. It was. Thea whines about being pulled away from Roy.
Yeah, Thea was especially whiny during that scene.
Oh yeah, she was. She's just kind of complaining about how she was pulled away. Could she not see the bigger picture that Roy could have died?
Well, she could have died?
Yeah, she could have died. I think that... I don't know, I do think that at one point she kind of understood later on like why she had to be pulled away. But at the beginning she was just really whining.
Yeah. Definitely.
This part was just kind of fluffy. Like, it was just kind of bridging scenes together. So I thought it was pretty
Kinda
solid.
filler.
Yeah, I thought it was just an okay scene.
It was a good character moment, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What's next? Yeah, and then the scene where Oliver tells Thea to go with Roy when they get done. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I think that when Roy and Thea leave, because it's pretty much confirmed that's happening now. When that happens, I hope that both of them return in future seasons. How many of them there are? Because I think seeing them at least once a season would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, seeing, well, there's the possibility that Roy might die,
Mm-hmm.
considering he's probably too fat to be in combat.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, there is the possibility that Roy might be killed off, or Thea might be killed off.
Yeah, in the next episode.
Yes.
Yeah, which is really interesting, and I'm looking forward to it.
They're setting both of them up for a happy ending. And what Arrow likes to do is it likes to set someone up for a happy ending and then yank it away.
Mm-hmm. I'm really scared. I don't want Roy to die.
And nor do I.
And especially I don't want Roy to die if they bring him back and don't use him a lot like they did in this episode and then kill him. But we'll talk about that in a second as we get back to the Roy stuff. So this next part where Team Arrow figures out it was Diaz all along. What did you think of this part?
Ultimately, I think, well, it's about time.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not a fan of how last episode was put where it was, because I feel like it broke apart the ending of 13 and then the 15. These episodes felt like they should have been together.
Yeah, they
whereas
definitely
the Civil War arc just kind of felt put in there haphazardly.
You could have cut out all of Curtis's scenes and any references to Curtis or Renee,
Mm-hmm.
and you would have gotten the same episode.
Yeah, because if you cut that out and you just have Dinah being a bitch like she had been for the past couple episodes, then it works fine.
Yeah, and you don't hate Dinah in that case.
You
just
don't
dislike her.
Yeah, this episode really felt like the follow-up to episode 13.
13, yeah.
I mean, there were the things where they talked about, hell, they even addressed Caden's murder in this one. So I really just felt like that 14 didn't need to happen.
Yeah, 14 maybe was 14 was the epitome of filler.
Really.
It was the very definition of filler episode.
Like, sure, it like finished off an arc, but not the main arc. I don't care about the
finished off a subplot.
Civil War arc. I like that. I like that they found out that it was Diaz. They had to eventually. So yeah, and so they talk to Quentin and Dinah, and they figure out how deep the police corruption goes. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the bringing back the police corruption idea?
Well, I don't remember it really being referenced in season 5. When was it referenced in 5?
I was wondering that too, because they keep talking about, I thought you got rid of all of those last year. But last year, he just made the anti-crime unit, so maybe they're talking about that. Oh, there were a couple scenes in early season 5.
I don't remember.
There was Tobias Church's gang, and one time Tobias Church's gang ran into some police officers, and they shot up, and some of the police officers joined Tobias really early in the season.
That's right.
So there were some points with corrupt cops, but corrupt cops were much of season 4 plot.
Yeah, corrupt cops were like the lady cop stuff, and Oliver's best nemesis, lady cop.
Mm-hmm. So maybe they were just referring the anti-crime unit kind of cleaned up all the dirty cops, which is fair.
Yeah.
But
I think maybe they got a little confused because maybe they were thinking Adrian Chase was a cop.
Maybe. I don't know. It was just weird. It felt like they were referencing something that I didn't understand.
Yeah, the only important cop all season was Billy Malone.
Yeah, and he died from Prometheus in episode 9, so...
Yes.
But yeah, I do think they're kind of just harkening back to talking about the ACU and how that kind of cleaned up the streets in the corrupt cops.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool to kind of go back to. But I think it's also a little redundant we have corrupt cops again. But I like to think that maybe they didn't clean them up entirely and Diaz had been paying them this whole time. So it's not like they clean up the corrupt cops, and then they come right back.
Yeah, I mean, that's feasible.
Mm.
But This is like systemic corruption as opposed to a feud.
Yeah. Like there's like the thing is like before we had like a few corrupt cops, so most of the cops were still good. Now it's like the entire city is under Diaz's control.
Yes, already, and it's only episode 15.
Which gets me really excited for future episodes.
Because we already have the police captain, we have
The DA,
the DA, and
a bunch of officers.
yeah, a bunch of officers.
And we know that the anti-vigilante like referendum thing is coming into play, so who's to say like Diaz couldn't just tell all the cops to kind of go after Green Arrow, and then he could be an outlaw again.
Yeah.
Which I think is
interesting.
I think that's where the season's going too.
I hope so, but I was hoping they would go for the outing arc.
That too. Either one would be pretty good.
Because I mean, coming hot off the heels of Prometheus, if they were following Cry for Justice at all, what they would do is they would out him as Green Arrow.
Which I think would have been really neat for them to do.
I agree.
I think it would be really interesting. I honestly thought for my top picks of season 5 cliffhangers, Oliver outing himself was number 1, and then Explosion on Leanne Yu was like number 3.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool. I like this scene. So where were we? So Diaz stomp Sky and awesome fight is what you wrote, and
that's underselling it. You remember the arena.
Yeah.
Oh.
I want to point out not only was the choreography fantastic, but so was the cinematography. Like the way it was shot and the colors.
The way it was shot and edited and lit.
It was so good.
It absolutely was. It was possibly one of the best fights this season.
It was. It really, and it showcased how interesting Diaz is as a character in these next couple scenes.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
It was really good. If you want like a breakdown of the fight, didn't you do one?
Yes, I did.
So it'll be over on his channel, or if you're from his channel, then you've already seen it. But it's really good. I really liked watching that.
And anybody from my channel, subscribe to Jay. Do it. Do it.
Thanks, man.
Do it.
I think that was cool. The slap hook is my favorite.
Diaz winds back after kicking the guy in the groin. Winds back up with a right hook, and he just slaps him. It's not even a solid punch. It's just a slap. I dubbed it the slap hook.
I just love that you posted that to the Arrow subreddit, and everybody's talking about the slap hook.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That was good. So then Diaz has the scene with Laurel, and it's awesome. He starts like yelling at her, and that scared me, honestly. I was not expecting that.
He is one scary son of a gun.
He had the cliche "give us the room," but then he just he yelled it, and I was like, "Oh goodness, we're getting somewhere now."
He sounded like he smoked a pack an hour.
For real. Everybody before this episode, not everybody, but a lot of people were like, "Wow, why is everyone so excited about Dragon? He's done nothing." And then this episode just shut them all up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he beat the crap out of a very skilled fighter, possibly like a prize fighter or MMA guy.
Yeah, because they talked about fighting for awards or whatever.
Yeah, fighting for trophies, nothing like fighting for your life.
Yeah, so they touched on that. I thought that was cool that they touched on that. And then he yelled, and it was scary. I was really interested in it, because before now he's just been quiet all the time. Even in the scene where he killed Caden, he was whispering the whole time.
Yeah, this is the first time, I think, other than the Chechnyan Death Squad in episode 10, he raised his voice.
Yeah, honestly, and it was just, it shocked me because I didn't expect it.
And when Renee stomped him.
Yeah. I thought it was awesome. And just to see him like yell at Laurel like that, and then like calm down, and then yell again.
Yeah. And speaking of Laurel and Dragon, can we talk about Vac wanted me to talk about this.
Okay.
Black Dragon confirmed.
Oh.
He stroked her face oh so
Oh yeah.
gingerly
Mm-hmm.
as he was convincing her to turn against Oliver. Stroked her face like an old lover.
Imagine that.
Siren and Dragon confirmed.
Ooh.
The ship name is now Black Dragon.
That would be very interesting.
It is the competitor to Super Arrow, and it is true love.
For real.
It is the purest love ever. It is purer than Olicity.
Everything is. It's when it comes to Olicity.
True.
So
the water in Flint, Michigan, is purer than Olicity. That's a dark joke. I don't apologize.
That scene.
Funny.
That scene was great. I loved it.
Yes.
I liked the. I loved. Kirk is just such a great actor.
Yes, he is.
Fantastic. Moving on though, because we can't touch on him as much as I'd like to. The decoy Roy. Thoughts on that? Where they kind of go,
Roy.
where they go after, and it's like, oh, one there.
Yeah, that was pretty clever on Dragon's part.
Oh yeah, but it was also kind of predictable.
Yeah, but still, he was.
But it
10
was
steps
fine.
ahead.
Yeah, I think Vacanus on Reddit posted posted a post that said the dragon is 11 puzzle pieces ahead, and we don't even know what puzzle he's making yet, which I thought was pretty funny.
Goodness, Vac, old boy, you're nuts.
Yeah, and then Diaz and Roy talk, and oh my gosh, I love this scene so much. It's the one where
yes,
he's like, so why would Queen's sister go out in the hood? And I was like, that's just, he raised his voice again, and every time he does that, I kind of jump a bit.
Yeah, it's unexpected. He's like Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you noticed that whenever Malcolm raises his voice, he's just super intense?
He is, and I'm getting that vibe from Dragon, which is like awesome.
He even did it on Legends when he was yelling at Rip or at George Lucas. I can't remember who.
Yeah, one of them too.
And he confronted him in the hallway, and he just went, "Where are they?"
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that made me jump out of my skin.
It's the same thing I'm getting with Diaz now.
Yeah, absolutely. And apparently Dragon's well read because he's like, why would he make his sister dress up as Will Scarlet?
Mm-hmm.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, is Robin Hood?
Yeah, I think. I just thought that was a really good scene, and it was again well shot because it was in the casino and everything.
Yeah, the casino is just a beacon of good shots.
Mm-hmm. It was just so good, and Roy, he was like, "You want to join my team or whatever?" He's like, "Do you offer medical and dental?" And it was just great.
He's hilarious.
That was the
And
Roy
then,
that I
of course,
missed.
Dragon's big threat.
Mm-hmm.
Now how? No, wait. Who do I got to put the pain to? You or her? Ouch. That was a very, very harsh threat.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, kind of diverge back to the Will Scarlet thing. Will Scarlet is Robin Hood's kind of second-hand man who's actually in a red outfit. So I'm guessing that's who the character Speedy even was based off of.
Huh.
In the
I did
comics.
not know that.
Yeah, I didn't
Did not
either.
know that.
It like the outfit looks like what the outfit they gave to Roy Harper in the comics too. So I think that's interesting. Because we all know the Green Arrow was kind of based off of Robin Hood.
Yes.
So I thought that was neat that they mentioned Will Scarlet. Okay, now that I know what the reference is to, it's cool.
Yeah, that's very fascinating.
Next, Quinn and Dinah interact with Laurel, and they tells them where to find Roy. This part was like, okay, I got it.
Yeah, they were just digging into police corruption when suddenly Laurel.
Yeah, and then I think this is where we had the cool scene where it's like, can we please not get into the screaming thing, because then old dad's gonna just have to renovate his apartment.
Yeah, that was it. And she added a caveat to that, but I don't remember what it was.
Mm-hmm. I liked it.
Yeah, me too. That was a clever line. That was a very Daredevil line.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the writers. So, they've done it before.
Yep, they'll do it again.
Oliver doesn't believe her, but they go. That's just normal Oliver with Black Siren.
Yep.
I really liked their interactions this episode. I thought they were really good.
Me too. Stephen Amell really sells the "I don't trust you, but I want to trust you" thing.
Mm-hmm.
every one of his sort of his growly whispers, you could tell there's a hint of kind of a kind of fondness, a little bit of fondness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I wish I could trust you.
Yeah, you definitely can tell that Oliver wants to trust Laurel.
Yeah, like, you're not our Laurel. That line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's almost like he's wishfully thinking.
Yeah, and
The way he delivered it.
it makes sense too why he would act like that.
Yeah.
Next, I wanted to talk to on something that you didn't have like written down in the outline, but I thought was a really good scene where they're walking out to get Roy, and Dinah's like, just this once, and Oliver was like, no, I don't trust you, you don't trust me, I'd rather be down a man.
Oh, that's
And-
right. I remember that.
Yeah, and then
I'd
he
rather
just-
be short-handed.
Yeah, I'd rather be short-handed, and I thought that was just like, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you can handle it, Oliver.
Mhm.
No matter how many guys there are, you can handle it.
And it felt especially like poetic, I guess, because when he apologized, they said, we can't trust you still, and now she's trying to come back, and Oliver's like, nope, you said you don't trust me, and I don't trust you, this is over.
Yep.
Which I do
Oliver's
think,
finally the one to be mature here. Well, not mature, but
Yeah.
final about things.
I do think that I think that the team will more or less come back together before the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe not Renee because he's really hurt, but I definitely think Curtis and Dino will come back. And if they rejoin the team, they rejoin the team. But I think it just makes sense for them to come back for the finale to stop Dragon, but then they might go their own way, which would be interesting.
Yeah. Honestly, I was expecting that they might team up with Dragon, or at least Dynamite.
Yeah,
Not Dynamite.
I was thinking about that, but then you think that Dragon's kind of one of the reasons that Vince got killed, and that's been her whole thing. So like that kind of
True.
flipped that on its head for me. I was like, maybe.
Maybe, but Caden is more so the reason that Vince got killed.
Yeah, and Dragon could kind of like tempt her, saying that he'll like tell the cops to go after Black Siren or something. So they could figure out a way to work it through,
Yeah.
or say that like,
Especially if Siren Redemption happens.
and you could have like Dragon say that he never wanted Vince to die and he really liked him, just kind of toy with Dinah, even though Dragon of course doesn't give a shit about Vince. He didn't care.
Yeah, I mean,
He was playing
torched
everyone.
him.
Oh yeah, he did. Dinah doesn't know that.
True.
He was just playing everybody.
Yeah, he was. It makes sense though. The only person that Dragon really interacted with, other than Caden, is Anatoly.
Mm-hmm.
And now Anatoly's on his team.
Yeah. That's
So
crazy.
maybe they were in this together.
That'd be very interesting. Oh. Yo. What if that's where Dragon got the information from, that'd be very interesting.
Yes, it would.
Because I could see Anatoly knowing everything, and I wonder if
Yeah.
that's where Dragon got it from.
It's possible.
Because I can
What?
imagine Dragon telling him, or Anatoly telling him.
Yeah, especially since he said that he's only in Star City for revenge on Oliver.
Mm-hmm. So if they had been talking before now, that would have been very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know, we'll just have to see how it plays out, but that's a really good theory now that I think about it. Next we see the scene where Diaz welcomes Oliver and the fight ensues. I love this scene. I think this is the scene where Diaz is like, I love it when you visit me, Mayor. Mr. Mayor. I thought that was fantastic.
Yes, it was. It really was.
It's I made him so menacing.
I love it when you visit me. Love it even more when you leave.
It was so good.
One thing that was interesting, though, is that he said that he wants him alive.
Yeah, I'm really wondering what they're doing with that.
Yeah. Why would he want Oliver alive?
There could, because he was orchestrated the entire trial, so he might want to see like Oliver get everything like ripped to pieces that he knows.
So is Oliver basically the scapegoat for everything?
He could be, but he could be doing that, which would be very interesting.
That would.
I'm super interested in what they're doing with that, but that was a really cool moment. Then there's some cool fight scenes between the goons, but as cool as they are, it just really is like fight scenes with the goons.
Yeah, even though it was really impressive the way Oliver and John were basically tossing an arrow between each other.
Oh yeah, that was really awesome. It's still, like I said, it comes down to the moment where it was just kind of, not generic fights, but nothing like really really awesome like the dragon fight earlier.
Yeah, nothing that we are necessarily like nothing that's gonna make the episode.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't anything. It wasn't bad by any means. It was still a great scene, but there was nothing that would necessarily make me love the episode more in there.
Yeah, not until we get to the Thea part of it, though.
Oh, that was really, really interesting.
Ooh, Thea got stomped.
Mm-hmm.
Thea got stompity stomped.
Did we expect anything less, though?
Some of us did.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew she would probably end up being stomped.
I mean, she definitely was completely annihilated.
Oh yeah, and it makes total sense.
It wasn't even competitive. I did a breakdown of that as well.
You did.
Yes.
It just kind of just happened, and I don't have a problem with it again because I thought it was fine and it made sense. If Thea held her own, I would have been a little disappointed.
It's not just that, but the way in which Dragon handled her.
Mm-hmm.
It was unique.
I agree. It was. I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was probably the best part about this ladder fight scene.
Absolutely, I agree. This whole fight was like, it was really inventive.
Oh, I agree. Just
so I would say, like, it gets a B. It gets an A for idea, B for execution.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and the way it just I'm watching the scene where Thea gets stomped, and yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah, like the since I didn't watch the episode live,
yeah,
that was the first scene I saw of the episode.
Yeah, it's so great. Like he's got Theo down, and then Oliver tackles him. It's great.
Yeah, when I saw it for the first time, I was thinking, Oliver versus Dragon. This is not a drill. This is not a drill.
Mm-hmm.
But alas, it was a drill.
I agree. I'm super pumped for that Oliver versus Dragon fight. I don't think it's coming until 18, maybe 17, but it's coming, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, I am excited too.
I can't wait. I'm super pumped.
And there's a 2-week break now.
I hate it. Anyway, back to the episode rundown. So Oliver tackles Diaz. Yeah, where that happens is like, I got Diaz. No, you don't. You know that, right? That scene was so great. He's so great.
Such a great line.
Diaz is such a great villain. He's just, I can't talk about him enough. Like this is the exact same feeling I was feeling this time last year with Prometheus. Yes, is the exact same feeling.
Yeah, I would say like it's a little more understated considering Dragon has been less of a major player than Prometheus.
Mm-hmm.
But now that he's finally kicking into gear, oh boy.
It just makes me so excited to see what else he's going to do. And then, yeah, Diaz just rants and talks about everything, and he gets off. He goes away, and I'm like, okay. I thought that was kind of stupid, the whole, like, villain gets away again, but at the same time, it made complete sense.
Yeah. I mean, in this case, it was Oliver getting away, but technically, like, he was letting Diaz off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason.
And I was still just kind of upset they teased another Dragon Oliver fight, and we didn't get anything.
Yeah, this makes 2 thus far.
Mm-hmm. It's even worse because before like these past couple episodes, we had no idea that if Diaz was even going to have good fighting abilities because we hadn't seen anything. All we'd seen was him using a gun, and now we know he's great at fighting, and I want to see it even more.
Yeah, he went from Richard Dragon to Richard Dragon.
Uh-huh. Literally.
And these next 2 weeks are gonna Richard Drag on.
They are. Oh, it's gonna be insane. Next, where were you going? They treat Roy's injuries and the hoodie.
Which is small.
The note you added. Oh, Oliver talks to Laurel. Laurel promises to be like Earth 1. This next kind of it was just wrapping up the things, which I thought was fine.
Can we talk about the Laurel scene?
Yeah.
This felt like season 1.
I agree.
Oliver was in the season 1 coat. in
Mm-hmm.
Lance's apartment talking to
Mm-hmm.
Laurel in casual wear, and they were both acting normal.
I agree.
Like they sort of acted like not necessarily they trusted each other, but that Laurel was genuinely being Laurel again. And
Mm.
I missed that so much.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
then Katie Cassidy sells the uh the next action, which is Laurel getting the Diaz text,
Ah,
which
that's
is
part where
good
yeah, it's
job.
like good job, and I'm like, what? I think she's playing
And
both of
then
them.
I think so too. I think she sincerely means that she's trying to be like Earth One Laurel,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time she's trying to get herself out of a jam
Yeah,
with
and
Diaz.
exactly. I think she's just scared of Diaz, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, she's scared of Diaz. She's scared of Dinah.
Yeah.
Probably scared of Oliver, considering he chokes her so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's been restrained by the neck like 3 times by the arrows.
Yeah. So next you have on your notes, Thea and Roy have funky times, which we all know
Yeah,
what that alludes to.
they have funky times, and then Athena, and I put a question mark by this because I don't
Yeah,
know if it is Athena.
I don't know if that's Athena or not. I'm gonna have to like look at the actress to
Yeah,
see if that's who it is.
I'm not sure.
So how do you feel about Athena? Do you think that she could actually be Shiva?
I honestly don't think so now.
Okay.
Simply because I think bringing in Lady Shiva as an LOA person instead of an independent martial artist
Mm-hmm.
would kind of be. I don't know. Shiva's a hand-to-hand gal, right?
Yeah, I agree.
The League of Assassins is always a weapon-based
Mm-hmm.
organization.
I
Everybody
just
needs a weapon.
I also think that introducing Shiva and then using her as the season 7 villain would be awesome.
That'd be great, but I think they should save that introduction for Shiva for season 7 itself.
That's fine. I just hope this League of Assassins, this Thanatos Guild episode, isn't completely like meaningless. Cause like sure it won't be meaningless because it's focused on Thea and it'll probably be her send off. But at the same time, if that's all that happens and then this doesn't like set up anything big, it'll just feel like a meaningless filler episode.
Yeah. One thing that I got pointed out to me just before I came on this,
Mm-hmm.
Athena said that she saw the heir to the demon.
Yeah.
Now, Thea is an heiress.
Oh.
Maybe Roy is the heir.
That would
That's
be
kind of that's
interesting.
outlandish. That's out there, but it's possible considering her wording.
That would be interesting because we know the
So,
last
do
Razal.
we have Roy Al Ghul now?
I don't know.
Think back for that.
That's an interesting point, actually. Now that I think about that, so we basically gone through the episode now. The Athena cliffhanger was cool. It really ties together next week. I feel like this week and next week will feel like a two-parter.
I hope so.
I
It's
hope
not
so
next
too.
week, It's
Yeah, not next week. I meant next episode. It's 2 weeks from now, sadly.
yep.
But I think that honestly, it could feel like a two-parter, but at the same time, I'm a little scared because if Dragon's not in it, it'll feel disconnected.
I agree.
So I hope Dragon's at least doing something.
Yeah, I hope so too. Dragon is well, honestly, I'm not expecting much Dragon in that episode.
I'm not
Considering
either.
Very Thea and Roy centric, supposedly, and Roy's getting the trucker hat, which I never liked the look of, but I like it now on Fat Roy.
Do you have the picture of that? Because I'm curious what that looks like.
Let me see if I can find it, and I'll send it to you.
All right. I was really interested in the idea of a next episode because I think that it could be cool, but at the same time we haven't actually had a filler episode this season yet. Even seasons 1 through 5 always had like kind of filler episodes, but this season had the added advantage of having so many villains to set up that the only episodes that really felt filler were like 3 where they introduced Onyx, but then that was the start of Green Diggle. So like that also wasn't that filler.
Yeah, that was semi-filler.
So
Then there was 4, which introduced Caden.
yeah, and then 5 and 6 had Vigilante and Dragon, even if they did set up Deathstroke.
Yep.
Like they did the Deathstroke. Then 7 was Caden James again. and then 9 was the introduction of the Cabal, and then 10 through 13 was Caden's big plan. So we haven't had anything filler. The closest thing was 14 and 3.
Wow, that's.
And when you look at it
That's a
like
good
that,
point.
it's like, wow, each episode's really mattered to the plot.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, just something that I remembered while looking over the episodes. Like, each episode set up the main plot,
Yeah,
which is
I
good. And
honestly never thought of that.
I'm just afraid that the next episode, the Thantos Guild, could just end up being a filler episode.
I think it. Well, honestly, it can't be that filler considering Thea is confirmed to be leaving in 16.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But at the same time, I want at least an appearance of Dragon,
Same here. Same here.
or like
Well,
maybe some more Oliver trial business.
Yeah.
More
It
stuff
is
tied to that.
confirmed. It is also confirmed that let's see, that Roy. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last podcast, but Roy is not suiting up as Arsenal.
Yeah, you said that. We knew that too.
Yeah, and I suspect that means that he might also be leaving because he's probably too fat to fight.
Yeah. Roy's interesting with me because I'd love for him to come back, but at the same time, it's obvious that he's probably going to be leaving.
Yeah, and it's equally obvious that Athena is in some way connected to that exit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
I agree.
entirely possible that Athena is going to kill either Thea or Roy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
be very
honestly
interesting.
banking on Thea.
Yeah.
What,
Or
do
Roy.
you think that either of them are going to die?
I think there's a chance at the same time, but it's also Googie, so I'm not sure. Let me see who's writing the episode.
Yeah, I'll check who's directing it.
Okay.
Arrow, let's see, what episode is it?
16, the
16.
Thanatos Guild.
Arrow 616 director.
Oh no.
What is it?
The writers are Beth Schwartz and Ben Sokolowski.
Oh no.
Oh. No. No. I'm scared now.
Oh no.
I'm
That's going to
scared.
suck.
I'm not gonna
Gosh.
jump. At least it looks like the director hasn't done anything. So that's interesting.
Let me look at the director. Joel Novoa. Let's see.
I don't know. I'm scared now because I know who the writers are. This could suck. This
Okay,
could be
so
bad.
The director directed Dangerous Liaisons.
Okay.
Oh.
I mean, the direction in that episode wasn't as bad.
And the Deathstroke episode.
Really, that was a great episode.
Yeah, it was. So we can expect some good stuff going on.
All right, that could actually be interesting.
Dangerous Liaisons was an Olicity episode. So
That episode wasn't as bad as the one after it, but that was still not that great of an episode.
true. Yeah. The 18, 19, and 20 were probably. Well, let's see.
I liked 18, the disbanded one with the Bradford came back. I thought that one was okay.
Yeah, that's true. I
But
thought it was kind of weak.
it was weak coming off
Oh.
of Capuchin and
That's right.
the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, then again, anything except for maybe Lian Yu is coming off of Capuchon.
Yo, we just I don't know if this just happened, but I know the title of 620 now. So
Oh,
we can,
yes, that's right.
it's shifting allegiances. So we can talk about that
We need to discuss that.
after we do our roundup thoughts of the episode.
Okay. Yes.
So overall, I love this episode. I do. At first, I was mixed when I typed that out. I was halfway through the episode. I was like, and not a lot of Roy. But then we got the dragon scene, Dragon as a villain. I love this episode.
Yeah, Dragon as a villain sold me on this episode.
This is the best episode of the
The
season.
best part. Yeah, you know what? Yeah,
This-
yeah, it is.
If not the best, my favorite episode of the season.
Yeah,
Right.
I would say it's the best.
Right up there with 13.
It's the episode with the least bad parts.
Agreed. It's just, it felt like a season 5 episode almost. Like it felt like we were back in the heart and joy that was that season.
It really did. It felt like and, and like somebody pointed out, I don't remember if it was you or somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of a superhero show depends on its villain.
Yeah, it does.
So if you don't have a well-written villain or a well-performed, compelling villain,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't have a good show.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of the problem with the first half is like, well, while I did actually enjoy Caden in his later episodes, he was completely boring for the first part.
Oh yeah, definitely. He was the weak spot of the first part, and that's a shame because the actor is so great.
Mm-hmm. And then I want to say around episodes 11 through 13, they started to flesh his character out, and I really started to enjoy him.
Yeah, in 13 he finally started talking in a normal tone.
Yeah. I love Richard. I think they've done so much with his character, and having him hide is honestly was very good.
Yeah.
Because looking at this character,
if he'd been this from the very start, it would have been weaker.
I agree. Because again, looking at this character, I think it helped that they kind of shielded him from being like the main villain from the start. Because in my opinion, this kind of character who's just like this crime lord, granted like a good fighter and everything, I don't think he can carry an entire season.
I don't know about that, especially given Kirk's acting chops.
Yeah, I get that. I just mean like the plot would have definitely had to be paced completely differently.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I think they would have had to build up more to it, but so having him from episode 1 be the villain, it would have been weaker of a season.
Yeah, and they would have had to greater establish his cunning.
Yeah, they'd had to do something else. So I think having Caden as the red herring lasted too long. I think that should have been an episode 9 thing.
Maybe episode 10 at most.
Yeah, at most episode 10. So I think that was an issue, and then we could have had Dragon from like 11 through now. But I do love that we're still getting Dragon.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's great. So overall, love this episode. I go ahead and give it an A. I think
Yeah,
A+.
I'm gonna give it an A+.
Yeah, A+ is where I'd give it. No, numerical rating, I would say that's around a 9.
I'm gonna give it a 10, honestly.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna give those two fights a 10,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of the episode a 9.
Yeah, it's up there with a 9 to 9.5 area. It's just so good. I had so much fun. And I know some people have not liked the last Flash episode, but I thought that was really good too.
I was among them.
I thought the last Flash episode was really good too. So it was it was nice to have a Flash and Arrow episode that I thought were really up to snuff. But I think it also sucks because I'm one of the few people who actually liked both episodes, and so it's almost like we can't have a good season of both shows at one time.
Yeah, seriously.
Because season 4 of The Flash, in my opinion, started out amazingly, and season 6 of Arrow started out pretty poorly, and now it's getting up to the point where I'm losing interest in The Flash this season and gaining it in Arrow.
Yeah.
So I wish they could be good at the same time. It's like we're sacrificing one for the other. It's like season 5 and season 3 of The Flash and Arrow. Those.
Plus, I mean, if a show is running concurrently with another CW show,
Mm-hmm.
then there's going to be quality differences. Like, we now have Black Lightning,
Yeah.
which zapping all the quality.
Mm-hmm. Black Lightning's great.
Yeah, I caught the first episode of Black Lightning I ever caught live was the most recent episode, and that was great.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that one yet, but I've heard it was great.
It was a really fun experience, honestly. It was a wonderful change of pace from Arrow. Like, sitting around, like, normally I watch Black Lightning episodes through snippets on YouTube or on the CW site.
Mm-hmm.
But finally getting to just sit around on, like, watching live on television a show that's not forced drama and with actually well-written characters,
Yeah.
intelligent stories. That's nice. That's really good.
I've had like my issues with some of the Black Lightning episodes in the past, but I think there was only one that I'm not a fan of.
Which one was that?
Episode 3. I thought that there were some moments of dialogue in that episode that just didn't work.
Oh yeah, I don't remember that one that well, but I do remember some moments of dialogue that just didn't click.
There was some clunkiness. Everything else has been great though.
Yeah, I agree.
I've
Black Lightning's the standout show this year.
Mm-hmm. Legends of Tomorrow has kind of fallen off for me, sadly, but I think that it's still good. Now, moving on, predictions. We I don't necessarily think that we need to touch on the episodes that we've already kind of predicted, except for 16, because we
let's
got
touch on 16.
16 and then we can touch on 20, because 17, 18, and 19 we've already talked about.
Yes.
So 16, obviously it's going to have the League of Assassins return, and it's going to be really interesting.
I wouldn't say interesting.
Okay, well, interesting to watch, maybe. I don't know. I think it's going to have some cool plot points, definitely.
It's got one thing that has me hyped, and nobody else wants this but me.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that we've never gotten an Oliver suited up versus the League of Assassins, except in trap and fight scenes during season 3?
We haven't, actually.
And I want that so badly.
That'd be awesome.
Like, in that, we're getting a scene of Oliver versus 3 or 4 League members.
Yeah.
Now, they're probably going to kick him around. Probably. But if not, that would be so awesome.
Yeah. I think at the bare minimum of this episode, we're gonna, not the bare minimum, but the bottom line for this episode is we're gonna get some interesting to cool fight scenes. Maybe not great fight scenes, but some cool ones at least.
Yes.
And I think we'll have a solid send off for Roy. And I don't know. I think it'll be really cool.
Did Sokolowski write the original Roy send-off?
He might have. That was Broken Arrow, which was 319.
Let me look it up.
Which is one of my favorite episodes. That's the last good season 3 episode, in my opinion.
Was that the one with Oliver taking over the room, or was that 18?
That was wait, Roy or Oliver what?
Oliver taking over the Atom suit?
That was 18.
Okay.
Yeah, he wrote this one. Ben Sokolowski. He wrote the teleplay, which is like the idea, and then the story was rewritten. So yeah, he wrote that one too.
That's fascinating. So we have Sokolowski's name attached to 2 Roy goodbyes.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that fascinating? It's like it's like he has a hang up with Roy.
Yeah.
He wants to have Roy off the show at all costs.
I don't know. I think that the exit in season 3 was fine. Again, I would have preferred he not exit. But
Yeah, same here.
I don't know. I thought it was good. Moving on, episode 16 looks like it's just gonna be an okay episode. Honestly, sadly, that's all I'm thinking from it.
Yep.
It'll have this Athena character who will probably die if she's not a future villain. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Nissa's returning, so that's cool. Do you have any predictions, really?
My fear was that Athena would upstage dragons and she's an original character.
Yeah. I don't think that's the case anymore. But that would be not interesting.
That would be awful, but that would be a classic Guggy.
I don't know. I don't get that vibe from the character. I don't think they would just randomly introduce, and again, this I might be underestimating them, but I don't think they just randomly introduce a new character to be the villain again.
Yeah. I mean, have they done that in the whole show, though? I don't think so.
No, I don't think they've done it before, so I don't think they will now. I think that Dragon's going to be the villain throughout, and I don't think Athena will upstage him.
That's fair.
That's why my overall thoughts were that Athena would be kind of like a Lady Shiva character and come back as a future villain.
I hope if she is actually Lady Shiva, she does come back.
Yeah.
Just not yet.
I agree. This is Dragon season. That's why I was thinking introduce her in season 6 and make her the villain of 7. That's my main hope right now, if they're gonna do war with Athena past this episode.
Yeah, I agree.
So episode 20 is called Shifting Allegiances, right?
Yes, shifting allegiances.
Thoughts on that?
Black Dragon is sinking.
I'm interested in this episode name because I don't know where it's going.
Yeah, I suspect that's the episode where the Siren Redemption happens.
I'd agree. It makes the
Either
most sense.
that or Anatoly.
Mm-hmm. Well, someone,
or a traitor on Oliver's team.
yeah, someone is going to change sides, obviously, with the title of the episode. But
What if
there's
it's Oliver changing sides to Agent Watson's team?
best Arrowverse character, you mean?
Yeah, best Arrowverse character.
So we should also point out
Changing-
the episode before this was called The Dragon. And
Yep.
I've heard that is possibly going to be a big dragon backstory episode.
Yes. I don't know if we mentioned this at all, but the main cast, as in like Steve Amell, Dave Ramsey, EBR, as far as we know, did not film much on 19.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting because not Oliver, but yeah, Stephen Amell said that he was in like 52 of 55 scenes for, fundamentals, which was originally Back to Basics, and then we just found out that he barely filmed for 19. So I'm wondering what's going on there.
Well, I just had a thought just occurred to me. What if they're filming his scenes for 18 and 19 simultaneously?
That would have been interesting.
I mean, I'm not sure that they would do that, but if they ever did, like if they did that, that would be the perfect time to do it.
Mm-hmm. And this would be the perfect time to have this kind of, again, like villain episode for
Yeah, absolutely.
for Dragon, which I'm all on board for, obviously.
Me too. A full Dragon episode? Oh my goodness.
Maybe not flashbacks, because then he'll die, and then all of a sudden Athena will return in the last 3 episodes and be the villain. Because that's what Goku does.
What if the shifting allegiances actually means that Black Siren is taking the role of full main villain? She's a psychopath. She's like a pure evil character.
Yeah, just piss off all the the Laurel fans.
Hold on a sec. I'm gonna say this exactly for Blue. So just like this is totally out of context.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this for Blue to hear in podcast.
All right.
Black Siren is a pure evil character. She's a psychopath and she's going to die. Okay, now I've said that. Now, when this is published, I can point Blue to the exact timestamp.
Around the 1 hour and 16 mark.
You know your stuff.
All right, it's interesting. Shifting allegiances has me interested. I really want the next 3 titles because
me too.
Titles really tell you.
I suspect in the next few weeks we're gonna get revelations for the titles.
Mm-hmm. Titles really tell you what the episode's gonna be. Like, we know that they released like Doppelganger, and then we speculated it was gonna be an episode about Black Siren. Even before then, they announced Collision Course, and everyone was talking about how that was obviously when the Civil War arc would end.
They're really not as creative with their titles anymore. Like, have you noticed?
The Devil's Greatest Trick was cool, but yeah, I agree.
Devil's Greatest Trick was really cool, but I mean, compare that to Unthinkable, The Promise, Seeing Red.
Yeah, but you're 6 seasons into your show. It's not as bad as, say, Supernatural, which has gotten lazy. But again, they're 13 seasons into their show, so.
What are some of the titles on Supernatural?
There's like, they've had titles that are almost like completely redone. A lot of the time, they just take song lyrics. It seems is what they do, and then they just use that at one point. Like, they've had titles which aren't bad, like who we are.
Yeah.
Then they've had like.
I don't mean to interrupt, but a thought just came crashing into my mind, and I need to ask this question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, it's all good.
Arrow always has this tradition of doing a Bruce Springsteen song title for every 22nd episode.
Mm-hmm.
Did they do that for season 5?
Yes, Missing is a Bruce Springsteen song.
And will they do that for season 6, do you think?
Probably. I don't see why they'd
I'm not
stop
exactly the most familiar with Bruce Springsteen's discography,
now.
but what song title would you like to see them do?
Let me go ahead and bring up Bruce Springsteen songs. Just so I have a list of what I'm looking at. I was shocked when I learned this because I didn't know that he had a song called like what's some of the crazy ones like Streets of Fire, I think it was, like back in season
Yep.
2.
Yep.
Yeah,
Or
there's like
Darkness on the Edge of Town.
yeah, Darkness on the Edge of Town, Streets of Fire, This Is Your Sword. Like having songs like that, it was crazy to me. And
Huh.
then like season 4, they had like Lost in the Flood, and then
And that
Missing.
was a Springsteen song?
Yeah, they've all been Springsteen songs. So I'm thinking, what I'm thinking right now is either Tougher Than the Rest, Dancing in the Dark, or Badlands. I think all of
I
those
was
could
gonna say Dancing in the Dark would have been perfect for season 4.
be. Hmm.
I could totally see Badlands though, or Glory Days.
Glory Days. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm also thinking maybe Brilliant Disguise.
I could see. Let's see. What would be a really good title? Would be The Rising.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's really interesting now to think about that because they do a Bruce Springsteen song every penultimate episode.
Yeah, and I think the cliche one would be Ties That Bind.
Oh yeah, definitely. They kind of
That's
had a
like-
cliche one with Missing.
Yeah, there. That's a The Ties That Bind is like an episode of every TV show.
Yeah.
Every TV show has a Ties That Bind episode.
The the only other one that I could think of right now would be The Promised Land, which sounds really interesting if they did that one.
But what would that have to do with Arrow, though?
I don't know. I just thought it was a cool title.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one I'm thinking of right now would be Badlands. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I could totally see that for a dragon-centric episode.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Or The Rising.
Yeah, The Rising or Badlands is where I'm at right now. Brilliant Disguise would be neat, and I could kind of go back to like Dragon playing everybody.
Yeah. Because this show is established he's not just a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike the New 52 version,
Yeah.
who is kind of an idiot sometimes. Like, he's a brilliant fighter,
Mm-hmm.
but he just gloats a little too much.
Which I mean is fine. No,
Yeah,
no
and
problem there.
He only gets an arrow in the leg for it.
Mm-hmm. So
Come to think of it, we've seen that doesn't work on him.
yeah, I don't know. I'm really interested in seeing where they go with this character.
Yeah, same here.
So with most of our predictions out the way, you want to go ahead and close out the episode? Or do you have anything else you
Sure.
want to say? Okay, sweet. So thank you all for watching. If you made it this far, join us next week where since there's not an Arrow episode, we will be talking about episode 12, All for Nothing. The week after that, we'll be talking about The Devil's Greatest Trick, and then we'll be back for episode 16. All right.
That sounds like a good deal.
So you want to talk about anything before we end the episode?
How are you?
I'm good.
That's good.
Alright, so again, thank you all for watching. If you're on my channel, go subscribe to him. He
And
makes
if you're
pretty cool
If
videos.
you're on my channel, why are you here? Go subscribe to Jay.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe.
right now. Do it. Do it. Come on.
Alright, sweet. Really fun making this podcast.
Yeah, I am loving it every single time we do it.
Alright. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Farewell, YouTube. Whew.